Good afternoon to all of you. So last class, what did we see in the last class? Any one of you, can you tell? Can you give a summarize? What are the things we have seen until now in terms of your intrusive and non-intrusive? Even you go for non-intrusive technique, qualitative and quantitative. Even last class we focused on the quantitative technique. Will you please summarize that? Excuse me. Please open your mouth.
PIV, PTV.
Okay, PIV. What do you mean by PIV, sir?
Particle image velocity.
Particle image velocimetry. Okay, good. Can you tell me how we are means whether it's a qualitative technique or quantitative technique? Can you explain how we do that? Qualitative or quantitative? How are we doing that? Please summarize the measurement procedure. Where are we using? Quick, sir. Sir, you can tell like a story. You don't need to take this much amount of time for that. Excuse me. Sir, if you are sitting like that, nothing can be done from my side. Basically, your PIV technique is your quantitative technique. Even we can measure from a high-speed flow. Okay, even in the high-speed flow also we can measure. Even in the incompressible flow, mainly your boundary layer flows and all, we can measure your PIV techniques. Okay, even boundary layer profile. Okay, that and all in the incompressible regime, compressible regime. Okay, we can get a boundary layer profiles and all boundary layer profile, boundary layer separation. Okay. Those things we can say means simply saying that compressible flow to incompressible flow we can incompressible flow we can measure the your flow properties. Basically, what are we going to do is okay, we will be getting a fluid flow velocity, and from that okay we are going to resolve the this one. Okay, different types of PIVs are there: 2D planar and stereo PIV, 3D PIV. Okay, those things are there. Okay, so right now our focus generalized aspect we are looking at. We looked at that. Okay, basically in the case of a PIV, the components list of components required are okay your laser and your optic system for converting your laser beam into a seat, for converting it as a laser seat. Okay, then it's going to be whatever your area of interest. Okay, flow through the area of interest. Okay, in the area of interest we are going to put the seeding particles. We talked about the seeding particles. Okay, in the fluid medium, what is the kind of seeding particles we will use? That is means liquid. And in the case of your gaseous medium, okay, what are the seeding particles and all use? We will be looking at that. We have to look at your buoyancy of your seeding particle and also effect of the gravity on the seeding particle also we have to look at that. Okay, these two things mainly we have to look at that. And other important thing is okay, the size of the particle should be in terms of micron, 5 to 10 micron, 20 micron like that. But your size of the seeding particle should be sufficient enough to refractor light, okay, your refractor medium, okay. So now what will happen, okay, we are going to take with the help of your seeding particle, with the help of a CCD or a CMOS camera, okay, we are going to capture the successive frame, and we are going to have a look at the your frame to frame measurement and all, okay. We are going to look at that, okay, your for a particular particle, okay, we are going to between the two frames, how the displacement of particle between two frames, a single particle, okay. So image correlation techniques, they will be using it, they will be getting a delta L, and also to image they know that your delta T also, from that they are going to get the your delta L by delta T. This I am talking about the very simple, okay, for a single particle, but if you are going to look at that, a highly denser medium, highly dense population of your seeding particle, low dense population of your seeding particle, see that how many particles are going to be there and how are they going to correlate, okay. So it's going to be a tedious process, okay. You need to have a workstation, okay, with a high-end computation to process those images, okay. So that's going to capture and it's going to provide the your velocity field data. Even I have shown you, okay, for a aerofoil separation, how the near the boundary profiles are going to be, how the your flame profile are going to be. Those things and all we looked at that, okay, in the last class. I have shown the images to you. So here, okay, from that your velocity, we are going to derive the your pressure field as well as density field, other parameters, okay. We can derive the other parameters and all, okay. So here what are we going to do is the flow field is going to be populated with the your seeding particles, okay. You have to choose according to your liquid or gaseous medium, and the main thing that you have to worry about is buoyancy of the your seeding particle and gravity effect on the fluid particle. And other important thing is your size of the seeding particle should be sufficient enough to refract that, okay, reflect the light, okay. So using image correlation technique, okay, between successive frames, how the each particle displacement, okay, and we know the time, okay, we can calculate the your velocity. From that further we can derive the your pressure field also from that. And already I mentioned about that particle track PTV and PAV. So PTV is particle track velocimetry, okay. So particle track velocimetry. So basically here your seeding particle is going to be less dense. Seeding particle is going to be less dense enough, okay. In the case of a PAV, your seeding particle is going to be particle image velocimetry. Your seeding particle is more dense, okay. So using image correlation technique, so we are going to capture the your this one. This is a simple recap about whatever the PAV we have seen in the PAV technique we have seen in the your this one. So inherently, okay, the long exposure time, those things and all is there. We will see that. You can go and read that, and if you have any questions, you can come back to me. Please don't be keep quiet, okay? Please discuss. Otherwise, it's very tough for me as well as for you too. So next is in today's class, we are going to see that your planar laser induced fluorescence. Okay. So what we call it as simply as a flip technique. Okay, that is your planar laser induced fluorescence. So basically, it's nothing but an optical technique, optical diagnostic technique. So widely used for flow visualization as well as for the quantitative measurement of fields. What are we going to get that in the your planar laser induced fluorescence? We are going to get the velocity, even species concentration. For example, okay, in the flame profile, if you want to see the CH radicals, OH radicals, or NOx NO radicals, your CO radicals, okay, because normally if you take your methane, if it is going to burn it in air or oxygen, what will happen? Simply we are writing it as in the previous semester we looked at that, okay, your complete combustion of methane with oxygen, it's going to be CO2 plus H2O. That's what we did this one. But in the real sense, it's not going to have only CO2 and H2O. Even here itself, we can see that, okay, your COO, your OH, that your species, okay? But it's not going to be like a molecular wise, it's not going to be like that. It's basically it's going to have your CO radical and OH radical, means OH minus radical, and your CO2 CO3 minus radical, okay? CO3 2 minus radicals. So lots of radical free radicals are going to be there in the your combustion of that one. It's not only going to give the your CO2 and H2O. All those free radicals are going to be there. So now I want to see that, okay, concentration of your CO species, OH radical, okay, those things and all we can capture effectively with your planar laser induced fluorescence. So I'll come back to that, okay. And other thing is, okay, normally here I can capture the OH profile, basically OH free radical. Using the OH free radical, I can capture my temperature field. Temperature of the flame is going to be very effectively, okay. And other thing is, okay, if you know the velocity, temperatures and all, you can do you can capture your pressure measurement also in your flip technique, okay. So right now we are in the process of already we got a certain this one. While visiting the campus, I can show you. Right now we have a CH radical and also a lens system and also a high-speed camera in our lab. What I can do is, okay, I can take a Bunsen burner flame or a cantilever candle flame. I can show you, okay. You remind me, okay, how your free radicals are going to vary. Okay, I can show you in our lab itself. Okay, so we have the facility, we acquired that, but we are not buying a ready-made facility. We are buying it as a bits and pieces. We are assembling and we are developing our own facility. So okay, so PIV is nothing but planar laser induced fluorescence. Okay, it's an optical diagnostic technique widely used for flow visualization and quantitative measurements. Your quantitative measurements. And what are the things we can measure? We can measure your velocity, your concentration, means concentration of species, temperature and pressure measurement. This is a typical setup of a flip system, basic system. Okay, this is going to be a basic system. You can see a laser. Okay, laser is coming out. Okay, and with the help of a optic system, okay, we are converting a beam to a laser seed, optical seed. Here, okay, you can see that a beam. Okay, now it's going to be flow through the field and all. So it's having a fluorescence particle. So what will happen? Okay, they are going to be illuminated. Now what are we doing is we are capturing with a filter. That's what I mentioned. You have to buy a simple CH filter, okay, OH filter, NOx filter, like that. You have to NO filter and all. You have to buy it. Okay, using that you can capture your means. Every your species, depending on the species, your excitation energy is going to vary. So this filter is going to allow only that much of that kind of frequency associated with it. Only CH frequency associated with your CH, okay, OH and NO. Normally your NO and OH and all, you need a laser for illuminating that, for getting your complete flow field measurement, quantitative measurement. For a CH filter, what we say that you are a self-excited plane. Means you don't need a laser, but you can get a CH profile. What are we are going to do using this technique only. We don't have a laser system, but we have a CH filter that's going to be costing something more than 3 lakhs, a simple lens. Okay, so with the help of a CH filter, okay, self-ignited condition, we are going to capture the CH filter. With the CH profile, we are going to capture it. So here, what are we going to do? Okay, self-excited. So whatever your measurement you are going to get, it's not going to be completely quantitative. It's a qualitative picture. A qualitative measurement only we can get it here. Okay. If you want a quantitative measurements, I need to go ahead with the same kind of you take a laser sheet, convert it in an optical sheet. You have to measure it, all those things. Okay. Any question on that? This is basically your CCD camera for capturing the whatever your refracted light excited frequency and all, we can capture it. So that's passing through the filter, you can capture it. Any questions, sir? So what are the, how we are going to do the your flip technique and all? If you look at that, the flow is going to be illuminated with the help of a laser seed whose wavelength is tuned to excite the particular transistor. Basically, what are we going to do? Okay, if you want to your CH species or your OH species, accordingly you have to tune the laser light seed. Okay, the wavelength of the your light is going to be tuned. Okay, and it's going to ignite only the CH species, your NOx, NO species. Okay, you have to tune the wavelength to excite the particular transistor. What will happen here in the after excitation with the your laser light? Okay, a fraction of ground state molecule of the flow absorbs the incident light and it's excited to higher electronic energy state. You know about that, but already you might have studied about okay in your combustion course, okay, Arrhenius rate equation, okay, and also activation energy. Arrhenius rate equation and all you have studied in your combustion course, sorry, your air propulsion course, okay, rate equation, and also your activation energy because it's related to that. What will happen? A molecule in the ground state is going to be excited, okay, with the help of another molecule, okay, another this one, and it's going to reach the excited state. Based on that, we talked about that endothermic, exothermic reaction, and that we talked about that. Same way, similar way, a fraction of ground state molecules, okay, absorbs the incident laser light, okay, that's going to be excited to higher electronic state. The excited species will, after some time, usually in the order of few nanoseconds to microsecond, de-excite and emit a light wavelength larger than your excited wavelength. Okay, whatever if your laser is going to be, okay, excite a wavelength like that, okay, a wavelength like that, a peak wavelength, okay, that whatever your de-excite and excited particle, okay, they are going to excite a wavelength something different that. So from these difference, okay, you can find out your species and all after correlation, okay. So these excited fluorescence is going to be captured with the help of your digital camera, your CMOS or a CCD camera. Any question? Okay, you look at the component of your flip, okay. You need a source of light, usually a laser we used to have, or if you go for, as I mentioned earlier, if you go for a CH, okay, you can go for a self-excited. Just mere flame itself is sufficient enough, okay. But there you are going to get only qualitative pictures. And arrangement of lens to form convert a beam of laser beam into a seed. And we need a fluorescence medium that's going to be as an injected particle. It's going to be mixed along with this one, okay. And your collection optics and your detector. That's what your camera and filter and camera. So what will happen? The light is, as I mentioned, okay, it's going to pass through the set of lenses and mirrors to form a seed, okay, and which is used to illuminate the medium. The medium is either made up of a fluorescent material or can be seeded with the fluorescent substance, okay. We are going to do that, and signal usually captured with the CCD CMOS camera and related to various properties of your medium. From that only we are going to derive your velocity, your species concentration, your pressure, temperature and all. So this is a typical your flip arrangement. You see that what are we seeing that, okay, here, okay, a laser beam is coming. So with the help of a set of lenses and all, we are converting a beam to a seed and all here. So it's going to be passed through your zone of interest where you want to measure, okay. You can do that, okay. And here you can see that, okay, a camera, okay, fixed with your filters. Filter is nothing but similar to a macro lens, whatever the macro lens. If you are very much interested in photography and all, we'll be having a macro lenses. Okay, we can attach it to that. We can have a close-up view and magnified view. You can see the micro features and all. So the capability of FLIF, okay, you can resolve the informations both temporal resolution in terms of nanosecond and spatial resolution, basically any properties. But if you look at the other techniques, the emission as well as absorption spectroscopy and your Schlieren and Shadowgraph technique, it's basically averaged over a line of sight. Basically, it's averaged over a line of sight. Even if you look at that other spatially resolved technique like coherent anti-stroke Raman scattering, what we call it as a CARS, and your Raman scattering and Rayleigh scattering typically have a low signal level and cannot be used for a 2D spatial information. But here you can have a 2D spatial information with the help of your plane. So this is the your some of the sample images acquired in the your FLIP technique. Okay, that is, this is the instant concentration, but this is for a average concentration map for a cross flow. Okay, this is the RM of root mean square of concentration. Okay, so these three things we can capture that with the help of your FLIP technique and all. Any questions, sir? Any question?
Sir, why is the RMS measured here, sir?
Yeah, RMS is like your root mean square of that one, sir. See, in what they, I'll tell you that one, minute. See, if you can you see the screen? Okay. See, for example, okay, if you look at that, okay. Let us take a case of U, P, okay, W. Your RMS is RMS of your U RMS, okay. Root mean square of velocity, it's going to be square root of U square plus P square plus W square by 3. Root mean square velocity.
Yes, sir, understood, sir. But what I was asking was, why are they using RMS here instead of just
it's basically
finding the velocity?
Okay. It's basically we'll be having the concentration at two directions, sir. Both okay, your spatial as well as okay x and y variation. So we need to have an average component like your resultant component kind of thing. For example, if you have a U and V, okay, what we are putting it as a resultant, similar to that, okay. So instead of simply putting a resultant, okay, we'll be having a root mean square, okay, U square plus P square by 2 square, like that.
Okay, sir, understood.
It's basically a averaging technique, okay, to simplify the, okay, coupling 3-4 information together instead of presenting it as a separate information, okay, coupling together and get the holistic picture about that. Any questions, sir?
Yes, sir, got it, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Any questions, sir? Any question? Okay. Another one more thing that I would like to add here. Okay. Last class, while dealing with your pressure sensitive paints, okay, we mentioned about, okay, your dye, your pressure sensitive paints. So I mentioned about a dye. It's nothing but a lumiporous molecules. Lumiporous molecules. So if you want to know a correct picture about your lumiporous molecule, what is happening is, okay, the surface is coated with a paint containing lumipore molecules. Basically, it's nothing but what we call it as a fluorescent or a phosphorescent. Okay, and we are going to illuminate with a light source, emitting the light of sufficient short wavelength to excite your lumipore molecule. Short wavelength to excite the lumipore molecule. So the lumipore molecule will emit the light of a longer wavelength than the excited wavelength due to the internal transition between the excitation. So those things are okay. Deactivated by means of a oxygen molecule. That's the thing we are capturing it. Any questions, sir? So in the next class, I talk about that your what to say, your laser Doppler anemometer, and also a little more on, okay, PDP also. PDP talk about that. Okay, in the next class we'll talk about that. We'll see more in detail about that. Okay. Phase Doppler particle analyzer. Okay. Any other questions, sir? Any other question? Sir, you people are not even opening your mouth now, but while coming to your next class recap, you are not at all opening the mouth. But while next class, if I ask about PLIF, you people are not even opening your mouth. It seems to be very tough for me to hear all those things. Sometimes I am worrying about myself.